How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing. Always protect your profits. And today we're going to be talking about Lucid, which had a strong day inside of the market. We saw a lot of momentum coming into the EV sector, and it was able to benefit from this. But there's some things that I want to talk about, so I won't waste any more time. Let's jump into the agenda. If you're new to this channel, I just want to let you know we have timestamps down below inside the description. But if you're a shareholder, you're thinking about taking a position, I highly suggest you watch this full entire video. So the first thing we're going to go over is a technical analysis. We're going to be taking a look at the overall price action. We want to know support. We want to know resistance. We want to know what it looks like in the bearish case scenario and as well as in the bullish case scenario. And then we're going to be going on Fintel, taking a look at the short interest information. The reason why this is important because it does have an impact on the way the stock performs. And then we're going to be taking a look at the order flow distribution. We want to know the buying and the selling behavior on the retail side and as well as on the institutional side. And then when all of that is done, we'll be going into the final thoughts and as well as some more details. So let's get to it. So we're going to do a technical analysis for Lucid. Let's see how it performed on the day. So it ended up closing at $38.75, being up 4.81%. On the low, it tested $36.68. And then on the high, it was $39.50. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 35.913 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 45.971 million shares. So one thing you notice right away, we did have below average volume, but we saw a lot of strength in Lucid stock. We saw this in the EV sector as a whole. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is the daily chart, you can see from the RSI down below, it was right at 45.95. And then when we take a look at our moving averages here on the chart, we have strength above the 200-day, the 100-day, but we are below the 50-day and the 21-day EMA. So the first thing I want to discuss, I was really looking forward to seeing if Lucid could test right here at the $40 level. We know this is a psychological area. There's a lot of resistance. And I feel if it was able to do that and it was carrying momentum, we could have touched the 21-day EMA at $40.33 and then being able to see where we could go from there. But since we kind of stopped right at $39.50, it's going to be interesting going into tomorrow. I feel like if we still have momentum coming into the EV sector, we should be able to get back into the $40 range. If we end up having a pullback inside of the market, then I'll be very interested to see if we could hold up at least the $37 level. And if we break through that $37 level, that's where we can start seeing $36.68 and then seeing how much strength it can hold up from there. You can see from the day before, we ended up getting to lows being in that $35 range. So that's one thing you're going to want to keep an eye on. So it's going to be very interesting to see if Lucid could hold up 37. But one of the things I want you guys to pay attention to, and I brought it up in yesterday's video, it is still continuing to consolidate. And it is looking good going into the new year, especially holding up this area right above 36.60. So if we see a continuation of this going into 2022, then this is where I could look forward to seeing this stock making a strong pop. And why I say you want to keep it on your radar, and also keep your ears open when we have catalysts coming through the EV space like we ended up having today when we saw Chinese stocks like NIO and as well as Xpeng that were running up. So let's see how Lucid performs for the last trading day of 2021. So we're going to take a look at the short interest information for Lucid. So for the dark pool short volume ratio, it's at 56.71%, and then for the dark pool short volume being just over 7.51 million shares. Scrolling down further on the page, the short shares availability is at 0, updated 6 minutes ago, and then for the short borrow free rate, currently it is not available. Now when we take a look at the history of the short volume ratio, we can see for the close of the 28th it was at 61.28, and then for the close of the 29th it was at 56.71. So we do see a reduction there, but Lucid does continue to have short squeeze potential, and it's part of the reasons why when we saw momentum coming into the EV space, we're able to to see some strong moves in price action. This is why I say you want to make sure you're prepared when that volatility comes. Now let's jump into the order flow distribution. Now let's take a look at the order flow distribution for Lucid. So we can see here on the inflow it's at 291, and then on the outflow it was at 254. So we ended up having an inflow day. When we take a look at the breakdown on the large, it was 19.38, and then on the medium it was 150, and then on the small it was 122. When we take a look at the outflow side on the large, it was 2.31, and on the medium it was 133, and then on the small it was 119. Keep in mind these numbers are in the millions. When we take a look at the large scale orders in the last 5 days, we could see for the past 3 trading days all being inflows, and for today of December the 30th we had that inflow of 17.07 million. Analyzing the numbers even further at the small scale orders, which tends to represent the retail side, we had more buying than we had selling, but it was still fairly close. And then when we take a look at the medium, we had more buying than we had selling. And then when we take a look at the large, which potentially could represent institutions, we had a lot more buying than we had selling. And then when we take a look at the turnover ratio, it was at 2.19%. And you know what? This is not too bad for a stock like Lucid. It is staying consistent. We have seen it being as high as over 10%, which signals there's a lot of liquid activity. But since they've been added into the NASDAQ 100, we have a lot of institutions who are holding on to their positions. And also we do still have some traders, and that's why we're seeing it in that 2% range. But for the most part, this is why you want to keep an eye on this play. So now let's jump into the final thoughts, and we'll go over some more details as well. So for my final thoughts for Lucid, tomorrow is definitely going to be interesting. But one thing that is very clear, it still continues to trade in a tight range. As far as support is concerned, you're going to want to see it hold up the $36.60 level. Breaking through that could send the stock back down to the $35 range. As far as resistance is concerned, we ended up seeing a high at $39.50, and you guys are well aware that we have a psychological area right at $40. So this is why I wasn't surprised we ended up seeing that selling pressure. It is textbook when it comes to a stock like Lucid. We also have to take into consideration the EV sector was hot. Let's be honest here. All of the EV stocks that I keep on my watch list were all green, and they were running up quite well. So when that momentum does fizzle out, how is Lucid going to fare? So this is why I want to make sure you're not being naive and you have a strategy and as well as a game plan so you're prepared for the volatility and you could be able to profit from it. Also, when we went on Fintel taking a look at the short interest information, it still continues to have short squeeze potential. So this is why I say when you have a catalyst or if you end up having some big news, we could see some strong moves from Lucid, and is why I say you want to keep this play on your radar. And before I close this video out, when we were taking a look at the order flow distribution, there is a lot of demand in the market for Lucid shares. We're seeing this on the retail side, and we're really seeing it on the institutional side. So this is why I say keep an eye on this play. I sound like a broken record, but I don't want you guys missing out, especially if you're interested in the price action when it comes to this stock. And for all of my investors out there, just make sure that you're timing your entries correctly so you can be in the prime position to make sure your portfolio continues to look good. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I can't wait to see how Lucid performs for the last trading day of 2021. We'll talk soon.